Hello, Movie Crusaders, and welcome to my latest episode. My name is Sean Wasserkrug, and today I'm going to be reviewing one of my more anticipated films of the year, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I am a huge fan of the Mission Impossible franchise. I have been watching this franchise since it came out in 1996, I believe, but it wasn't until Mission Impossible 3, which I still feel is a very criminally underrated sequel, that I really started to grow to love this franchise. Every episode or every movie since the third one has just been strong, fun, exciting. Tom Cruise, you can tell, is not doing this for the paycheck. He's doing that because he gets to do these kick-ass stunts, but he actually loves and cares about playing Ethan Hunt. He's our modern-day James Bond. He's been doing this for almost 30 years now. I think it's 27 years now. The first Mission Impossible came out in 1996. The last one, Mission Impossible Fallout, was one of my favorite films of the year. I loved that movie so much. So knowing that this is part one of potentially the finale of this franchise, I was more than excited to see this film. Plus, with new additions of Haley Atwell, and Palm Clementif, from maybe people know as Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy. This was definitely a film that I could not wait to watch and just embrace and enjoy inside the movie theater. And much like most Mission Impossible films, Dead Reckoning does exactly what it sets out to do, and is to make you feel like you're watching a blockbuster film in theaters. This movie is fantastic to watch. The action set pieces are incredible. Tom does his crazy stunt, which, I mean, granted, has been given away in the trailers. And what you see in the trailers is pretty much what you get in the movie. They probably could have added a little more to it. And I hate people that are knocking him for it. This is still a scary-ass stunt that he's doing. It's still a crazy stunt. But it is what it is. There are stunts he's done in previous films that seem more dangerous or seem a lot more crazy than what he does here. But I'm not knocking this. This is an insane stunt that he is doing. But compared to like Ghost Protocol, where he was on, I can't remember the name of the building, but like that one's probably the most insane one he's really ever done. But the main story for this one is that they're basically, once again, you got a MacGuffin, which is a thing that they're chasing. But the main bad guy is this basically this AI entity, almost like a Skynet kind of thing. Which at first I was like, are we really going this route? Are we really going like almost the Terminator route with this movie? And the answer is kind of, yeah, we are. But as ludicrous as that thought process is, Mission Impossible has always found a way to make the zany ludicrousness of stuff feel real and flow through the story with the realism that makes you believe that this shit could actually really happen. Tom Cruise, as always, is fantastic as Ethan Hunt. Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg are back as Luther and Benji. They're always great. They're solid partners to Ethan throughout the film. You care about those characters' as well-being. Rebecca Ferguson is back as Elsa. I love her in all these movies. I think she's been one of the best additions to this cast, probably since Simon Pegg joined Ving Rhames and Tom Cruise into the cast. New additions, Haley Atwell's Grace. She is a character that you're either going to love or love to hate based off of how the character makes you feel throughout the film. I actually really enjoyed Haley Atwell in this. I feel like she flows and melds perfectly well with this cast and the action set pieces that we do get in this film. Vanessa Kirby is back as the White Widow. She's not given nearly as much screen time as we probably would have hoped, but she's solid in the film nonetheless. Palm Clementif, like I said, Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's so nice seeing her in something other than in the Mantis outfit. I think in the parts we get her in, I think she does a stellar job. I'm excited to see her in more films where she's not dressed up as Mantis. Issa Morales, who plays basically the main human foil to Ethan in this film. He plays Gabriel. I feel like he gives a great mystique to his character because he's someone from Ethan's past, even before he joined the IMF. So you have this era of like this long-standing rivalry between these two. I do feel like there needs to be a little more story and a little more context between Gabriel and the entity in the sequel. There needs to be some explanations for how things are going in this film. But I think Morales does actually a solid job with it. We get Henry Czerny, I'm probably saying that name wrong, who plays Kittredge. He's hasn't been back since the first film, so he's back in this. You got Shea Wiggum and Greg Tarzan Davis, who played Briggs and Degas. Diaz. They're basically chasing Ethan throughout this film. The cast is solid all the way throughout. Story-wise, it's not as good as Fallout, but once again, this is a part 1 of 2, so there's a lot of story elements that are not given the full explanation, or they're not given the full throughout storyline, because a lot of that's being saved to part 2. But what works in this compared to like a Fast X, which is another part 1 of 3, is that every character for the most part has a story arc, has a plot point that they are building and growing throughout this film all the way to the end. They're not just being shortchanged because we're saving it for the sequels. Every character has a through point through most of this film. Even the end of the film has a solid end point, much like the Lord of the Rings trilogies, where we knew the sequels were connected to the previous books or previous films. And unlike Fast X and even Across the Spider-Verse, even though that's my #1 movie of the year, they have very much of a cliffhanger ending. Dead Reckoning Part 1 has a definitive ending with an open door to the sequel that's supposed to be coming out next year. So you're not going to get a huge cliffhanger ending. This one has a definitive ending, which makes it feel like its own movie on its own, which is a positive. Like I said, the action set pieces, you've got a great fun sequence in an airport. You've got a great chase sequence through Rome, which is through the same streets and same locations that Fast X did earlier this year, except done better this time out. And there's a fantastic train sequence that reminds me much of the opening sequence or part of the film, or part of the game Uncharted 2. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it is exhilarating in this film. Mission Impossible does exactly what it sets out to do, be a live-action blockbuster in movie theaters that makes you go out to the movie theaters to watch this awesomeness. You're not watching it at home on a streaming service. Granted, unless you wait a few months, then you will. Tom Cruise continues to be one of the biggest box office draws in Hollywood. If you guys don't like Tom Cruise, I really don't know what's wrong with you. He's such a fantastic, fun actor to watch. I'm excited to see what we get with this potential final film in the Mission Impossible franchise coming out next year. The story could have been a little bit stronger, but it is a part 1 of 2, so a lot of this is going to kind of hold and wait until we see what we get the second one for a full, complete story. But for me, what we got with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is a high recommendation, one of the better films of the year, definitely one of the better action films of the year. I cannot wait to see this again. If you're a Mission Impossible fan, obviously you're going to be checking this out. If you're not a Mission Impossible fan, could you watch this without seeing the previous films? Yes, you could. Do I recommend it? No. I would say if you really want to go back and rewatch these, start with, I mean, you can go back and watch it from the very beginning, which I recommend. But if you don't want to watch all 6 films prior to this one, watch from 3 and up. You will not be disappointed, because this is hands down one of the strongest franchises out there that just keeps getting better and better and stronger with each film. I'm going to give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 a 94%. Definitely go check this out in theaters, the biggest theater you can. Mine was still a very small theater, but if you have IMAX, this is definitely a IMAX watch to go see. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, I'm going to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Out right now, last week, Brian Michaels and myself went over our 2023 half-year in review, where we went over our best and worst films, and also our most surprising and most disappointing films of 2023 so far through the first 6 months. Also, this week's episode of the Weekly Crusaders, where Brian and I talk about 2 movies that came out during this week in movie history, will be out later on tonight as well. And yeah, we got more. Next week, we got Barbie and Oppenheimer coming out, so expect reviews for both of those films. And definitely, like I said, go check out Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It is a knockout, blockbuster, fun ride, led by an always awesome Tom Cruise. But until next time, I'm Sean Wasserkrug, and until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.